Hello and welcome back to part 2 of Dream Deals. This week we're in Norwich, taking a look at one of Britain's best loved sports car manufacturers, Lotus. So far we've seen the beautiful Elan, the unusual Europa, and coming up I'm out on the track with the very latest Elise. But let's carry on our look at Lotus with the amazing Esprit. First unveiled as a styling exercise from the Coogan design studio in 1974, the company was flooded with so many inquiries that it decided to take the successor for the Europa into production. And so the glass fibre-bodied, mid-engined, multi-valve Esprit was born, and it would become one of the most famous Lotus ever. First off the production line was the standard Esprit S1. Launched in 1976, it had a normally aspirated 2-litre 4-cylinder engine. This stunning example of a 1982 S3 had a slightly bigger engine, 2.2 litre, and it had about 160 brake horsepower, perfectly civilised. So civilised, in fact, they made a limited submarine edition, only one, for a certain J. Bond of London. But it didn't work, it leaked all over the place and sank without trace. This Turbo Esprit is the first in a long line of turbocharged cars. This particular 84 car is about 210 brake horsepower. It'll do 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds. Having said that, the garish red leather interior is of its time, shall we say politely. Now both of these cars are very loyal to the original Coogan design. Well, I say Coogan, some say Giugiaro, but let's not call the whole thing off. Then in 1988 came the Esprit Turbo, which received a completely revised interior and a freshened up exterior. Power was up to 220 brake horsepower and 0 to 60 was almost a second quicker, coming up in just over 5 seconds. Some were saying that the 4-cylinder engine had run out of steam. It had gone as far as it could and they were sounding the death knell for the Esprit. That was until 1996 when Lotus unveiled the V8. Power kept increasing. In the late 80s and early 90s came the Turbo SE with 280 brake and the S4, which took power up to 300 brake horsepower, the ultimate 4-cylinder Esprit. This car firmly put the Esprit into supercar territory, but sadly sales have dwindled, and now Lotus have announced that after nearly 30 years of production, the current anniversary model is to be the Esprit's last. A man could cry. That's the bad news. The good news is that after all of those years, there are plenty of Esprits on the market. So here's Ian Royle with a guide on how you can get your hands on one.
If you're considering buying an early model Esprit, you want to be wary of worn engines. The early 4-cylinder models are good for around 80,000 miles, but then they need to be rebuilt, something that will set you back around $5,000.
The body itself, the actual shape of the mark, it's ageless. Regardless if you keep it original or if you want to customise it slightly, which I have done, it just adds to. You can add to it, or you can just keep it originally. It's the perfect car, to be honest, and it's that body, it's that shape, it's the attention, it's the wow factor. Call it what you will, it has it all.
The best cars to look out for are from 1987 onwards, as these were redesigned with improved mechanics. If you're unlucky and the gremlins hit your car, what's it going to cost to repair it? Well, a bumper for an S1 will set you back £130, an engine cover would be £55, while a rear shocker would be yours for £62.